series of tapes, Factology versus Theology, were recorded from classes given this year by the Grand Master, Dr. Malachi Z. York, known to us as Naya Malachi Zodak El, our own Pharaoh, Amenubi Ra'akata. These tapes were released in part so that you may listen and learn the profound facts as taught by the man of this hour. And now, listen to the dynamic teachings of the Grand Master, Naya Malachi Zodak El.
How does that tie into the Nubians that were here with the Native American, or like the Native American influence?
Let's get that straight. Okay, let's draw this box as America. And let's draw this as South America, straight on down to Tripoli, and then out of the Caribbean. Correct? Let's call this Africa. Okay? And Madagascar. With me?
Okay.
Let's call this Israel. Call that Saudi Arabia. And let's go straight over this. 2 rivers, Persian Gulf. Then it goes down like this, here, Caucasus Mountains. You got that?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So we move from the tip of California over this way. We have what's referred to as the Pacific Ocean. Right? Yeah. Over here, we have the Atlantic Ocean. And over here, we have the Indian Ocean. Got it?
Yeah.
Okay. Over here is China. China is directly across from California. A short journey. However, if you were going to leave the United States to go to the Far East, as they call it, they will make you fly from over here in America, New York Kennedy Airport, or one of the international airports, all the way across to Europe, port in a European country, and then fly over, port to another European country, and then fly over to the Far East, instead of letting you fly straight across. All right? Oh, yeah. What happened is, the people on this part of the land, called America, this other part was called Mexico. Right? This is called Atlantis. Got that?
Yes.
This was called, South America was called Mexico. And all the out of the Caribbean, all the part of it, straight down was called Yucatan, the tip of Sicily. You understand? This land was called Sudan, or Shoda. You follow that? This, the Red Sea, or Reed Sea, did not exist, and this was all one sea. Later became known as the land of Sheba, or Cush. Straight up to the Persian Gulf. You with me?
Okay.
So far. Okay. Now, the indigenous people of Atlantis were you, all that. The Mexam, what later became known as Mexico. They were your Mayan and your Aztecs. All of these people were dark black skin, big lips, big nose, and nappy, kinky hair. Not straight, not curly. Right? You understand? All right. Back then. This was all together the Greeks and the Mizraimites, or Chemites from the word Chem, referred to that as a land in the west in the book called Coming Forth by Day, the Egyptian Book of the Dead, which I have finished translating as a whole, and you'll have that in a hard cover. It's finished. These people spoke about the great land across that small sea at one point, and then up through, and then they said through the bushes, there's a great land with great kings. Talking about, yeah, Atlantis is what Plato referred to as because of the Atlantic Ocean. All right? The Bermuda Triangle is right in the center. When you push all these pieces back, they all fit in perfectly, and then you leave the Bermuda Triangle open in the middle. That was our power source. It's the only part of Atlantis that went under the water. The power source was the demon, the Luciferian skunk. And now they're trying to activate them with generators, and they got the sounds off the coast. Anyway, so the cherubim occupied this side of the land. That's right. Okay. Hey. No, they were Teru who came here to Earth with an extra chromosome, a 47 chromosome. You follow that? And they mixed in with the original Chen dynasty, which when you look up, you will find also look like black-skinned, woolly-haired people, the indigenous people of the planet Earth. These Teru mixed in with these people and produced your Chinese people. Right? They had a larger brain. Because the Teru have a larger brain. They have the appearance of Down syndrome because Mongoloidism is a result of a 47 chromosome. And you see in Chinese eyes and Mongoloid children's eyes are the exact same. Don't ask me about the curse of Edom that comes with the Japanese and the Koreans, in case you're wondering. I know you're going, what about the curse of Edom? It's a different story. You're back further. It's going to be a little bit before the Bible with you. You with me? Okay. Eventually, the power of the Mongolians caused the Teru in China to go beneath the ground. In China, they have underground tunnels that are fantastic. And if you go to Disney World and you go into Epcot and go into China, there's a big temple, of the original Chinese temple. You go in there and they show you a round screen, and the man who's narrating from China takes you into underground tunnels right there, and he shows them to you. And this is where the Teru entered and went underground and left the Chen dynasty ruling, which became one of the first dynasties of all time. Do me some research if you don't believe. Got me? They made ships, and they sailed eastward, following the tide flows, and came into California and brought in with them their jade, topaz, and their dragons that the dragon beast from their own star constellation, which was with the Andromeda people. You understand? Same being. They came in and brought that to the shores of California. That's why you notice that the Native Americans have what they call the magic fan medicine they make. And they find a fan of different color, and they draw these little magic talismans. And the same thing the Chinese do. The dragon dances, the feather, the same thing. The mask, the coloring of the faces, the stone, the fine ivory work, the jade work, the topaz. All of this is the exact same culture. Now, the Teru mixes in with them, having no here, because their chemistry is, their chemical substance is different, produce hollow hair. Each strand of hair is hollow, something not of this earth. They're bald. All Chinese people aspire to curl their hair. The reason why they wear that straight hairstyle is because regardless of what they do, they can't curl their hair. They can put it in rollers and it will fall out because their hair is hollow. Are you with me? Yeah. When these people sailed over to this country, California, they encountered the indigenous people of this land. By the time they came here now, they were no longer black or dark-skinned Moors by nationality with woolly hair, but they were a yellowish cream color with straight hair and mongoloid or slanted eyes. A larger brain, you follow that? And a more condensed body, as the people of the Chen dynasty were short men. That goes to another story, right? All right. They came here. They sailed back and forth, bringing their culture. Finally, one of them named Ho Shen sailed over here on an expedition through this new land. Meanwhile, other stuff is going on over here. On the other side, I ain't even talking about it. When he got here, he encountered the Olmecs. They were dying out because there was not enough for them to sail there to survive, and their ship crashed and they couldn't get back across. But what they did is the Almighty allowed them to marry their daughters to produce their seed. The mixing in with their daughters produced what's called the Native American today. And the Native American today also has hollow hair like the Chinese. And if you look at the Native Americans, they range from black or African looking all the way to Oriental looking. Some Mexicans look just like the Chinese. Now, then you have another group of Native Americans that look like East Indians, like some of the Seminoles in Florida. Yes, because later on, East Indians crossed all the way up to the Bering Strait, came down, and mixed in with Native Americans, producing your Eskimos, who are a little darker in complexion. And then they kept on moving down and thus broke off into tribes by incident. Miss Pierce, meaning my nose is pierced. Seminole, meaning to run away. Creek, meaning we traveled the route of the creek. Blackfoot, meant I walked through the black swamps of the Carolinas. They became named by incident, because they all were of the same family. Now they have various shades, various features, and some of their heads were less than hollow, some were flat, some were curled, and some you have was called your Native Americans. They are not the original people of this land. They met the people when they got here who were you, Moors, all that. The original people here. On the other side, you'll find that back then, Africa, South America, all the way to Chile was all one land that we lived on. And the people over there in Europe referred to it as Atlantis, that great place. Egypt was inclusive in it. You understand that? The Greeks today will tell you, we got all our knowledge from Africa. If they don't tell you that, then ask them, why was the greatest library in the world in Iskandariya, the Arabic word for Alexandria, and not in Athens? Why did you have your greatest library in Egypt, up near the Mediterranean Sea, and not in your own country? Because all of the knowledge that the Greeks and their philosophers got, they got it from Moors who educated them, who were called Hamites. Hamite is nothing but a derivative of Ham, which takes it back to Mizraim, which takes it back to Noah, which takes it back to the Tigris-Euphrates area, Mesopotamia, Chaldea, Iraq, which now they call Iraq, which is ancient Babylon. The Aryans, on the other hand, the word Aryan has nothing whatsoever to do with Caucasian. The word Aryan is the word Iran. And literally goes back to ancient Hindus, the original black man. The Asiatic black man, because he was outside of our land. And when you got outside of our land, you was on what we call the Orient, where the sun rose, because we were in the west. So we looked over and we saw a rock come over the east. So the word Asia, the Arabic word, where they get the word Asia, means Orient, which if you look up means where the sun rises. So those people who lived on that side out of our land, where Nod began, the land of Nod in the Bible, they were called Asiatic. So you had Asiatic black men from India, the Asiatics, which are the Orientals, and then the Caucasus Asiatics, which are the Caucasians. You see that? When you ask a Caucasian, what is the white race, he can't tell you. He uses the word white race in order to engulf many people's success, to make himself appear to have done something over this period of 6,000 years. When in actuality, when you isolate them by name and put them in the genes, you'll find they've done nothing. So when you meet one of them and they say, we Europeans, you say, we Europeans? What country are you from? And they say, French. Say, well, the British don't like the French. So the contributions of Britain has nothing to do with the contributions of the French. And the Germans don't like the British or the French. And the Irish don't like the British, the German, or the French. So let's break you back down into individual tribes and families. And then let's see what you have contributed. And the answer is, as Hitler would say, zilch. Nothing. You understand? So Hitler the Kook set out to unify all of Europe so that they can say, we as a white race, we did this and we did that. But the other part of the Caucasian family was not in agreement with Hitler's principles of the New World Order, opposed him, and cut off their own nose despite their taste. You follow that? Their greatest fear is extinction. And extinction only comes from racial mixing. That is a progressive gene versus a regressive gene. And we can mix with any race of people 4 generations and still be born. No race can do that. So the total concentration is on how to keep us from becoming a nationality, nation, or race, but rather make us a color and a thing. So they made many names for us: Negro, Afro, Rastafarian, Hebrew Israelite, Black Muslim, Muslim, Sunni, Shiite, Colored, Cool, Spain, Jigaboo, Horse Monkey, Yardie, Birdhead, Nigger. But they won't call you more. And they make you a thing so they don't have to classify you in legal documents, or you may demand representation in their system as a Moor. You may say, I'm entitled to, according to the Constitution, representation. I cannot be tried without a jury of my peers. And my peers would have to be my nationality in order to be my peers. So thus, they make you eliminate the name Moor, which is undocumented in the country, and have you calling yourself everything but Moor, so you are not entitled to the rights that would link you back to the Olmec and give you back the Native American title, link you back to Sudan and Egypt and give you back your, and link you back to Sumeria and Persia and give you back your true nationality. Because then you will be classified by record and deed and history and doctrine and Bible and Quran and Bhagavad Gita as the ancient one. By that you mean the oldest one. You'll be the Akbar of the Allahu Akbar. The oldest one. And they have in their documents that they are supposed to protect the ancient one and your ancient religion. We initiated them into them rights. And the symbol you see on this here fez, here I have on my head, was the ancient symbol of the mystic Moor, which we gave them under the 5-pointed star, the third sun, S-U-N, because they were not there at the 6-pointed star, which was the sun only. The first sun. They are not the ancient one. When you corner them and ask them to identify themselves by race or nationality, they cannot do it. They give you locale and country. I'm a European, a Frenchman. You say, but that you mean you're from the Bronx? And then you say, and what do they contribute? Where is their God? Where is their religion? Who is their God? What is their culture? Where is their poetry? Where is their art? Where is their sculpture? Where is their empire? Where is their gold? Where is their diamond? Where is their platinum? Where are they recorded? in time as other than barbarians and warriors. Barbers. No, don't fall for that barber. You're not a barbarian. You're not a Berber. Don't fall for another mistake. If you approach them and say, what are you by nationality and race? And they say, I'm English. You say, you mean Anglo and Saxon? Where is their art? Poetry. Oh, well, Shakespeare was a student of the school of Hermes, Tahuti, called Salt, of ancient Egypt, as Thessalonians was, who brought all of the doctrine here. You don't fool us, Khalil Gibran. The Persians were copying down Egyptian poetry and passed it off as the books of prophets. He called it the books of prophets because he knew that all the Muslims would oppose that, classifying Muhammad of 1400 years ago as a final prophet, or having a Nabi. No Muslim would come near it unless they classified him as Sufi of the Muslim Torah, which is considered insane in this part of the world. Those who have left the path of the real law and have went off and became heretics to make themselves one with Allah, the Sufi. Well put together, so that when we trace back to Arab and we say to him, who are you by race and nationality? He says, I am an Arab. And he says, show me Arab in the Torah. Show me Arab in the Injil. Show me Arab in the Zabur. He goes back to Joktan, son of Mizraim, who also had a son, Kasluel, who became the father of Philistines, who became the Philistines. So those Palestinians over there are on your land. Joktan was dark-skinned with woolly hair. He was directly out of the same seed of Noah, called Upnefishtim to us in the right record, called the Gilgamesh Epic, from which the Torah and the Quran and the Injil were plagiarized. And they were all dark-skinned, woolly-haired people. Not because I say they were, but because rocks and fossils and carvings and documents and sketches and pictures have proven they are. There is no such thing as an Arab. In the sense of them, we were Arabs because when we began to Arab, to wander and move away from the Persian Gulf from one end of our land to the next, freely with our borders, and freely mixing amongst our own, because it was never a bit of a genetic in our nation among black on black. Only other people, they would come to us when they intended on migrating further south, kidnap our women, breed amongst us to sustain their existence beneath the sun by taking in our melanin, of which, if they don't have, the sun will kill them. So the Arab has no nationality or culture. And when you ask him, he'll tell you, well, 1400 years ago, or that is in the year 570, what happened? A man was born in Arabia, and his name was Ahmed. He later became known as Muhammad, or when he became trusted, Al-Amin. They called him Mustafa, Muhammad Al-Amin. He was our prophet 1400 years ago. That's all. 1,400 years ago. That is no more than 8 of your grandparents. And we have records by stones and carving in America. Heads that are popping up in America of us as Almacs, woolly hair, big lips, wide nose, black skin as they call it, Moors, going back 900 years before Jesus. That's 2,900 years of record. And the Muslims are talking about 1,400 years and calling that a legacy in history. And Muhammad met an angel. Let's think about that. Muhammad, the founder of Islam, encountered an angel who he referred to as Jibreel. Salaam alaikum wa rahmatullah, they said. And this same Jibreel, called a Malachi or Malachi angel, is found in Judaism. Yet Muslims don't want to say that a Jewish angel met their prophet. Muhammad was not a Muslim when Jibreel met him, because he hadn't gotten Islam yet. So Muhammad was then a what? A Zaidi. The Arabians were Zaidians at the time. Their God, Allah, is a statue. His wife was Alat, and he had 2 daughters. Of course, they put in the Quran, don't say that Allah is a statue. Of course, you can write that after. Don't say that there's a Trinity. Of course, you can write that 2,000 years after the Trinity. Show me an Islamic document that goes before the Catholics had a Trinity. The Catholics already had a Trinity when the Quran made the statement, don't say Allah is a Trinity. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been able to make the statement. Muslims can't explain crucifixion of Jesus. And just go in the Quran. It was not crucified, it was made to look that way. Try to get them in the conversation to explain it. They can't do it. Oh, when our Christians are wrong. How are you right with only 1,400 years of history? You know? So Muhammad, while meditating in a cave in Arabia, has a visit by what he calls the angel Gabriel. And he called him to a new religion. Right? By the year 610, Muhammad is being introduced to religious literature that can be found in the Old and New Testament, and Egyptian writings, and Persian writings. Nothing new. Thus, we give birth to a new religion. Now, a problem comes in because of the name Gabriel, and the Quran makes mention of Muhammad being like Abraham. Something they said about Jesus, being like Abraham. So it comes up, was Abraham a Muslim? It's safe for the Muslims to change his name from Abraham to Ibrahim, graft him into their culture, take the circumcision practice of Judaism called Brit Milah, and say because Abraham was the father of circumcision, his religion is called Milah Ibrahim. Misusing. Say that Abraham's father was an idol worshiper, when in Torah clearly tells you that Abraham was an idol worshiper who even prostrated himself before the feet of Abraham. Fabricate a whole story about Abraham and Nimrod's encounter, and they were generations apart. And then just say, well, the Quran is right and the Torah is wrong, when you read the Torah to get the Quran. You with me? I can go on to Islam and other things. The whole Muslims cannot identify themselves as Arabs. The Saudi Arabians today are on our land, on our oil. We are the real Arabs. Asiatic black men are East Indians. Asiatics are Orientals. And then you have one more race of them. Caucasus Asiatics, deteriorating Asiatics. All the people from the side of the east where the sun comes. Now the side of the raven-head people, black hair, where the sun sets. Up here is the set. But that's another one that made a mistake, showing they don't have any knowledge. And we didn't have none of that in our doctrine. So as you walk around the world and you try to ask people about who they are, where they came from, what race, you ask the Native Americans, what race are you from? He says, I'm an Indian. Are you from India? No. I'm a Native American. Well, what are you? He'll tell you the tribe. Doctor, Chittica, Tony, Seminar. Good. I hear the name. What does it mean? Now that you get the meaning, I see the meaning identified with something like the mid-pig and nose-pig. What are you? You are an Oriental. You are Chinese. In America, in our land. You follow that? When you mix with us, we allow you to maintain your culture, and we let you move south of us, and you set up a maxim. Became known as May, Zoroaster. And then when we no longer respected your culture, when they started worshiping white skin, red beard, God from the sky, like on the culture, we asked you to leave. And you got up and you left and went back and settled in Japan. Having been mixed with us and in Korea, some they say the Mayans just disappeared. No, we say get off our land. Because it's regret the dragon worship and demon worship and blood sacrifices, throwing virgins into volcanoes, and you got to do it. And we built the ship for them. And we knew when the tides came in that can take a ship straight on across without sail or oar. And they sailed on back home. And if you go over to the Far East, you will find the Mayans and the Aztecs as dark-skinned, almost curly-haired Orientals. Today, they're still there. So mystery to us, mystery to you. Young brothers like Hakeem Bey, the Moorish Science Temple, and Jose Bey, Dr. Jose Bey, are all trying to get this message across. I'm wise enough to see it. I've done my homework, which is obvious. Nation of Islam. My brothers, my sisters, do your homework and come on in and join the Moorish nation and get your nationality and your identity back. Farad was not one of us. He's not dark-skinned. He's not curly-haired. He's not woolly-haired. He in no way identified with us, so he cannot be my God. How can he be regressive in genetics and be a progressive genetic person God? Not that possible. Dr. Khalid could be my God. You understand? Stop playing around. We don't have enough time. Face it, the brothers from the Moorish Science Temple on nationality is more on point than we were on this Islamic thing. Now all they got to do is give up that Islamic crap and go back to Moors before the invasion of the Berbers into Morocco. And come on back and identify with the Almac and how the Ethiopians were Moors and the Hamites were Moors and the Persians were Moors, and that Moor in itself, Moreno, or Maracasa, is no more than a description of, in one of the languages, that the Caucasians who were doing this recording called it. That's why we must identify with it. Because they wrote it down, and it's in the languages that we're now speaking today, and in the archives in the countries where we're dwelling today, and there we can retrieve information, prove our nationality back to Moor, and from Moor we can say Moreno simply means black, which is Nubian, or Sudanese, or Aswanese, or Mauritanian, Somalian. The Libyans don't belong there. That's another son from North Sea. Tunisians don't belong there. Algerians don't belong there. The light-skinned Moroccans, all of them, you can stay on our land, but admit that it's our land, and that you push the real Moroccans south. That's all we ask. We don't say get off the land, off our land. We're not like you. We can all live on the land in peace, but acknowledge that it's our land. Acknowledge that we walk alongside of dinosaurs in Kenya, and you didn't in the days of Neanderthal. You understand? So when you reach out here and talk to someone and start talking to them, punch them right in the jeans. Ask them right up front. You say you're a white man, a white supremacist. Just what race or what family do you come from? Are you Irish? Are you Polish? Are you Scottish? Are you Dutch? French? And then let us dwell on that point in your so-called nationality. Because you can't say the white race. There's no such thing as a white race. It's a mix of a whole lot of different people who don't get along, don't worship the same God, don't listen to the same music, don't even drink the same kind of beer. More, we need more. We all the people start wearing them feathers. Let it be known that you found your way back home. When you see your Moorish brothers, greet them. Because we got something to be thankful for them. But when I got in contact with it and I started opening up and studying it, you know me, I ain't gonna shoot you no blank. I took it apart. I see their mistakes, but I see that they have more good than they have bad. And I'm smart enough to move my people where it's safe. And I wish Farrakhan and 5% of the other kids out there would look a little deeper into nationality and identity. We need to know that. All right, please.